Donald Trump was COVID positive, and COVID positive, to prove to his base that he's the man, because there's so much toxic masculinity in the things that he does, and the base that he tries to appeal to, which tend to be people who are misogynistic, suffer from some toxic masculinity along with the racism and the xenophobia. He wanted to let people know that he's stronger than everyone. And he beat COVID in a record days. He got out of the hospital, and he's ready to go, go back. Though there have been reports that, he was low on oxygen and that there were conflicting reports about his health. He has to put on his face because we have an election coming up. And so he cannot afford to be sick or look like he is incapacitated, because, Nancy Pelosi is trying to employ that 25th Amendment and get him out of there, claiming that he is not fit to be the president of the United States. So he is out here doing this tour, and we know he's sick, we know he tans, but his makeup job, if you look at his hands and you look at his face, that doesn't look like a makeup artist did that. It looks like a mortician did. You see that? So, I know a lot of people wish death upon him. A lot of people don't like him, but I just think that it's sad that a person who is ill and not feeling well, would go out and maintain their stand that they're okay because they have an election, and compromising their health. Donald Trump is, an elder. He is someone who is in the target group for COVID. He belongs to the most vulnerable group, yet and still he's out there insisting that he, beat it. And, here we are. So someone says, have you considered the possibility that you're completely wrong in your assessment as to what or why the president's motives are? So Marquis, what I have done is asserted myself in my stand, in my opinion, and that is what this show is about, is Aida's point of view and my truth serum. Do I know what Donald Trump's motives are? Completely, that I can say that I know for a fact? No, and neither can you, because unless you're rolling with Donald Trump, which I doubt because you're on my feed. My assessment is that he was sick. There were conflicting reports from medical professionals. The doctor, who is his doctor, said one thing one day and the very next day said something else. There's an election coming up, and I know that right now that election is very important to him because he's had a lot of hits in this election cycle. And so is there a possibility that he might be pretending that he's healthier than he is? Sure. And I don't think that that's too far-fetched for me to think. But feel free to share your opinion, because that's what we're doing here. And I respect everyone's opinion as I expect you to respect mine. But his makeup job is what I was going to say is pretty poor, because that's not tanning. That is orange face. And it's pretty dark, and it's very comparable to some of the people who are accused of doing blackface and brownface. If you look at his hands and you look at his face, and yes, my hands are lighter than my face, but my hands are also a reflection of my complexion, and his hands are not. When is he going to stop? And more importantly, I don't give a shit about him being sick, because if he wants to tend to his health that way, he can. The problem is that he is infecting people daily. And I don't know if you saw, but Deadline, I don't know if the story is accurate. Allegedly, they were releasing a story saying that Mike Pence also tested positive for COVID. And then they had to retract because, according to the email, the person who does social media was told, do not release this until the story breaks, and the person prematurely released it. So there's that. So if you want to, speculate as to why Donald Trump is doing what he's doing, You can, we all can. But my problem is that he is infecting people as he goes. And as I don't know, I mean, there were what, 11 people who tested positive for COVID. Um, Hope Hicks positive, Kellyanne Conway, as her daughter broke on TikTok. We're listening to a 15-year-old giving us the news. There was, how many other people have tested positive for COVID that have been in the presence? A governor. And that is not okay. It's not okay to get people sick because some of them will live and some of them may live. But what if someone does die? It's not over yet. We've only heard of them testing positive. We haven't seen it through. So is it fair for you to take a chance with somebody else's health because the probability of your survival is there, is the question. Is that okay? You know what I'm saying? To say that they lived, is that okay for somebody to do that? And it's easy for you to say because you're here and you're not one of those people that someone took your life into their hands. But if you were, would you appreciate it, whether it's the president of the United States or the grocery store, the person that checks you out at the grocery store? Is it okay for them to risk your life and gamble when we don't know everything that we need to know about COVID? And the factors are very different. And there are people who are 26 and 93 years old dying, and some people have no pre-existing conditions, but the blood clots took them down or whatever it is. Is it okay for someone to put your life in danger and be negligent with your life based on their ideologies about illness? Absolutely not. That is not okay. And I believe that some people can probably sue you for that, right? If you knowingly have herpes and have sex with someone, they can sue you, right? That is a fact. So if you knowingly have COVID, whether you're the president of the United States or the driver of the bus, is it okay for you to know that you have this and still expose people who could be vulnerable to it? And that's the only question that we need to answer. Your speculation about what Donald Trump and coronavirus, and if he lived, and if he's strong, and if he's the man, that's all the bullshit you keep to yourself. It has nothing to do with the fact that a lot of the people that are around Donald Trump are of the age that is most vulnerable. Mike Pence is an older man. Quite a few of the people that he is around and that he is exposed to. And listen, they didn't want to put the plexiglass up. They fought Kamala Harris for fighting for her health. And then if Mike Pence is positive for COVID, then he would have exposed her mother. His wife did not have on a mask because they were trying to make a point. Now, these people, the other thing that I want to talk about here, and I get so irritated with so many of you who constantly want to perpetuate this thing about it's nothing and that I'm being fearful. Of course I'm being fearful. A government who tested Black people and gave them syphilis and denied it all the way through until finally couldn't deny it anymore. The Tuskegee experiment, Mountain Bill, if you've never seen it, look it up. If these people have done this, why would you trust the government? Republicans and Democrats alike are always talking so much shit about how they don't trust the government. Mainly what they're saying is they don't trust the people on the opposite aisle of the government. But they say we don't trust the government, right? We don't trust the government. So why do you trust the government with coronavirus, COVID-19, when every week they give you a different set of rules and a different set of factors involving this? Why don't you listen to the doctors and stop listening to the politicians? Because the doctors know what the fuck they're doing and the politicians are just trying to get votes. How about that?